Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about the Chinese New Year. Happy New Year! Well, maybe the day you're watching it, it's not New Year. This year, in the year 2021, the Chinese New Year is on February 12th. So it's a little bit after our calendar New Year, which is December 31st into January 1st. So it's a little bit different. And the reason that is because it's based on the moon cycle. So depending on whenever the moon is coming around at the right time of year is the Chinese New Year. All right, so it's different a little bit every year, and usually it's around the first or second week of February. Sometimes it's in January, depends on the year, okay? So let's talk a little bit about Chinese New Year traditions and how they might be similar or different than ours. But before we get super into that, what is this Chinese New Year all about? Now, the story goes, and this story comes from 1766 BCE, and that's before the Common Era. So that was probably almost 3,000 years ago. So this is a very old story. And the story goes that a long time ago, there was this monster, this beast, and its name was the Year. Okay? And every year, the Year would attack the people that lived on the land. And this monster was pretty crazy looking. He had the body of an ox, which is like kind of a big cow creature, right? It had the head of a lion, and it lives in the ocean. So every year, this very crazy, scary monster would attack people. It was so frightening. And people eventually found out that you could scare off this monster with three main things: the color red. Hey, look, I'm wearing red. I'm scaring the year off today. Fire and loud bangs or booms. So what people decided to do that every year when this monster would be maybe attacking, they would launch fireworks into the sky to make big color red everywhere and make big noises. People would wear and decorate with the color red, and they would usually hang lanterns for that fire and kind of scaring away this monster. Now, this is what we call a myth or a legend. So this isn't necessarily a true story because we don't have all the facts, but maybe there's a creature that's out there. I don't know. Hopefully we don't find out, right? So a little bit about the traditions and things that happen nowadays for the Chinese New Year. It's kind of like a big family reunion. I know for our New Year, a lot of times you get together with your friends or your family to celebrate this new time, all right? And if it's like anything like my New Year's, I have a lot of food, all right? And that's the same for the Chinese New Year too. Usually there's fish, dumplings, all sorts of side dishes, and it's supposed to be like a time to celebrate. It's almost like Thanksgiving where you have a spread of food and it's a good time for all, and look how good things are right now, all right? And during the Chinese New Year and our New Year, a lot of people light fireworks to kind of celebrate. And for the Chinese New Year, they also have it to scare away any evil spirits or bad things that might be lurking around. And one really fun tradition that's kind of special for the Chinese New Year is that families and couples and older people will give these red envelopes to children with money in it. And it's supposed to be good luck to have this red envelope with money. So maybe we should start doing that over here too, right? And one really big tradition, I know I do for New Year, but maybe you do, maybe you don't, is actually really cleaning and like trying to make your house in order before the New Year so you have a really nice fresh start, right? It's a good way to start the year, have a fresh, clean home ready to go, kind of like a peaceful kind of a deal, right? So one fun thing along with this Chinese New Year is this thing called the Chinese Zodiac. And every 12 years, there's a new animal that represents that year, okay? So if you look really closely, if you want to pause the video here, I have a chart with all of the animals and different years that go along with it, all right? So, and there's a YouTube video link in here, and I'll put a link in my video of the story of how these 12 animals were picked, because they have the rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. So like, why were these animals picked over like, I don't know, a panda? Or why didn't they pick a turkey? I don't know. So you'll find, if you watch that clip, you'll find out a little bit more of how those animals were picked. All right. And if you looked really close at this chart and you already kind of figured it out, this year is the year of the ox. All right. So I'm going to take a pause for a minute because our project today is going to have to do with an ox. But every class is going to be doing something a little bit different. So stay tuned and find out what your class is doing for the year of the ox. All right, 3rd and 4th graders, your project for the Chinese New Year for our Year of the Ox is actually going to be drawing an ox. Got some big horns, it's going to be fun. In school today, or whenever we're meeting up with your class, we're actually going to be making this into a clay project where we just make the head. But I figured drawing would probably be the easiest option. However, if you do have Play-Doh or Play-Doh or a little stash of clay somewhere, you're more than welcome to kind of make a head as well, okay? But I figured for most of us at home, drawing is probably going to be the easiest option for us. So let's get to drawing. I'm going to switch my camera around, and for this project, all you need is a pencil, a piece of paper, and perhaps something to color with, all right? So I have my paper here. I'm going to talk to you about how to draw this whole body. All right. We're going to start with some kind of simple shapes and build up from there, because usually an object is usually made out of shapes and then we just add details later. So for our ox, we're going to draw a couple of circles. One's going to be where our head is. Okay. And I'm going to keep drawing pretty light today so we can erase and change things as we go. And we're going to have like this front part of his body be another circle because it's pretty big. So kind of next to that little circle, I'm going to do a bigger circle. Okay, so it's going to be head, body. And then an ox kind of has like a flat booty, to be quite honest. So we're going to add this weird kind of almost rectangle shape where we're going to come out and curve down and maybe curve up to the belly. Okay, so we got a head, a body, and a booty. All right, and we might as well put his legs on there too, because you know, like he's got to stand up. So right now we're going to start with just 2 little stick legs. We're going to go leg and leg, and his legs will go there eventually. This is just a good starting point for us. All right, from there, let's start adding these details. So a ox has an actually kind of longer kind of snout. If you think of like a cow or a horse ox, they got those long faces. So we're going to give them kind of this almost squarish face where we're going to come off the top of our circle, come kind of down with a curve for his nose, and we're going to kind of come back towards the circle for the top of his mouth, where he's got a big nose and he's got a little mouth underneath. So we're going to add a little kind of square shape and kind of just make it melt into a neck. Do you see that there? So we got this rectangle, a square, and it melts into a neck. And if you want to, you can actually start kind of erasing some of these extra lines you won't need, because we got our head attached to the body, so we can get rid of part of that circle. All right. And if you want to, you can even give your ox your big old nostril right here, because they smell pretty good and they got those big nostrils, right? So there's our head kind of coming into place. All right. From there, we're going to have these really nice big horns coming off of our head. So on one side, we're going to do kind of a swoosh up and a swoosh back down. Okay, it kind of comes to a point here because, horns kind of come to a point and they're a little bigger towards the head. And we're going to do our other one that kind of actually sits inside of the circle. So we're going to do a letter C where our antlers are, our hoof, or my gosh, all my parts, my horn starts. I'm going to curve up, and then I'll take that and curve back down. All right, so we got some horns for our ox, but there is also an ear we're missing here because they have ears, they got to hear things. So I like to kind of make that big kind of eyeball shape like a football, where I'll curve up and down, and then maybe I'll go down and up. All right, if you want to, you kind of add that little hearing line in here so it looks like an ear. And again, you can start erasing some of those parts that overlap, like this big old horn right here. We know that's on top of the head, so we can erase part of that circle. All right, and from there we might as well figure out this back, because it's the right shape, but it kind of dips and stops over. So I'm going to just kind of smooth that out right here. So it's one big piece, and then I can start erasing over here a little bit, right? Erasers are helpful for this one, which is why we're using a pencil. All right. From there, let's get into these legs a little bit, because that's one part that doesn't look like we've done quite anything yet. So from here, they got kind of stocky, thick little legs with hooves. So right where this line is, I'm going to kind of make it look a little bit more muscly, and I'm going to do kind of like a hill out and another hill out. And let's give it a hoof, which is kind of this like square-ish shape that goes out, flat, kind of back up. And we can draw another leg just like that next to it, because he's got 2 legs. So let's go wave, wave, and let's maybe make that hoof look like it's hidden behind. So we'll go wave, wave, and add that hoof so it looks like it's behind the other leg, right? And let's do the same thing over here. You see where this this belly kind of ends right here? We're gonna have our leg kind of come from that other way, because the back legs are much bigger, right? So we're gonna go big wave, whoa, and then we're gonna do a little wave, whoop, whoop, and another hoof. Kind of goes out, over, and up again. Got that hoof shape. All right, we can add that little other leg in a little bit here, but let's also add the tail while we're this end. And you can kind of just do a wavy line, and you can add some little hairs at the back if you want to already. All right, there we go. Getting there, friends, getting there. All right, from there, let's finish off our leg, right? Let's get that other leg in here before we get too crazy. And we kind of curve down again like that wave and add that hoof down here. All right, so we generally speaking have a lot of our oxen done. We can kind of erase this belly line here because he's big and strong, and this leg kind of goes up to where that circle meets, so we can erase another part of that circle. So now he's got a nice little belly here. And let's get those eyes in, all right? So I'm gonna say that's the one thing we're kind of missing is his face. So right here, I like to kind of think of an ox doesn't have a perfect like human eye, because that'd be kind of goofy, right? So I like thinking of it more as a circle, because we're only kind of seeing half of our face here. We're going to draw our circle to see. Okay, you can even make that a little darker if you want to. And we're going to just start at the circle and curve down. Okay, it's like half the eye. And this one we're going to curve to meet right here. So it's mostly a circle with a tail on it. All right? It's kind of, it's hard to draw animal eyes, but it's good practice, you know, right? So from here, one last thing I want to talk about before we start erasing some more of these circles, right? We can kind of keep a little bit of this for the head, is this leg right here. Well, let's make sure that's attached all the way. So let's get rid of that extra line, and it kind of melts into the body from those wavy bits. All right. So generally speaking, if I can speak today, we got our ox for the Chinese New Year. All right, let me switch my camera here so I can talk about the last bit here. So ox are super kind of fun. There's big, bulky creatures. They're ready to go. And hopefully at this point you have your own little ox. All right. I would love to see these colored in. And oxen can kind of be some different colors. Usually like a brownish, whitish, tannish, kind of blackish color. Some good like earthy colors for that. So you're welcome to color them in, but I do want to invite you, just because this is Chinese New Year and we're trying to get a little festive, if you would like to add some sort of accessory, and by accessory I mean hat, bow, necklace, clothing kind of, you're welcome to make this ox as fancy as you want to. So when you're coloring this in, if you add an accessory, I think a great color for that would be red, because like we talked about, red is a lucky color for the Chinese New Year. So when you are all finished with this, please, please, please take a photo of it and send it to me in the Google Classroom so I can see those Chinese New Year's oxes. Can't wait to see what you come up with. Happy creating!